Welcome, everyone, to the regular meeting of the Johnson County Library Board of Directors on a fine October day. Feeling a tiny hint of chill and autumnal cheer in the air, which is nice because I'm done with being hot and sweaty and want sweater weather, like really bad. So here's hoping by next time we get together, it will be proper sweater weather. Okay, I hear a really weird echo, which is going to make me crazy tech people. Do we have any citizens' comments while we try to troubleshoot
Yep.
the echo?
Yes, Madam Chair, we have a comment from Stephen Cordell. He wrote an email which I will read into the record. So Stephen wrote, I was at Oak Park today and I was stunned by a book being promoted on the recommended kiosk. As a Johnson County resident for 40 years, I'm shocked and offended by sending money to this person. The person that they're referring to as Snoop Dogg. He then covers just, and I won't go into detail, he provides a synopsis from 1990 to 2007 of Mr. Dogg's legal history, and then goes on to say, in addition, he has an album cover showing the purported dead body of the sitting president of the U.S. and glorification of illegal gangs he belongs to, or a legal gang. My concern is hardly the stuff of a book burner or some neo-fascist. I am not a fan of banning books, but this is hardly that. You are sending money to a person that was charged in 2 murders, convicted of assault and dealing dope. Screeches and preaches assassination and glorification of violence, racist, misogynistic gang life. Mr. Dogg also owns a porn empire which cheapens and objectifies women. Das Kapital or Mao's Red Book, both of which I have read on library loan, are about how society itself is structured, since both have been debunked, but they didn't preach murder, racism, dope, and thuggery. The book the library purchased has no social worth. It's a cookbook, for God's sake, from a felon with $150 million. Give me a break. He knows nothing about cooking. It's a cheap money grab by a sick felon, and you fell for it. Mr. Dogg has a net worth of $150 million. I don't. I'm deeply offended not to see this book as recommended, but that it is in the library at all. I hope the board jettisons this trash and refrains from supporting any other or future felonious porn moguls. I will advise the board that those two items have gone to through the review process that we do for any patron that expresses concern about the material, and Lacey's in that process, and I'm looking forward to hearing her results once she's looked at them. That's the only comment we have today.
Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry, what was the name again?
Cordell.
Mr. Cordell, for your input into our collection, and it is under advisement. Thank you. Do we have any other citizens' comments? Okay, do we have any comments from the Library Board of Directors? Yes, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Yes, our thrones are better. Thank you. Okay, anything else? Okay, the only thing I have is really just an administrative note. Is 'tis the season for the Personnel Review Committee to reform to do the county librarian's appraisal with our partners at County HR. And I am looking for board volunteers, and if I don't get one, somebody's going to be voluntold they need to lead that, and a couple of other people will be voluntold they get to participate if you don't volunteer now. Dun, dun, dun.
Bethany, I would volunteer to participate, but I prefer not to lead it.
Okay, thank you very much. We need 3 on this committee. So anyone else? Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else? Dun, dun, dun. David, do you think you could mind taking this? Thank you. We were too quiet, but we need a couple people. We need to balance out having new people and veterans together. So that would be a good mix. And then hopefully next year someone else will lead it and you can tap out. Yay! Thank you. That was very easy. I appreciate your participation. Awesome. We are ready for the Friends of the Library, please, in the Development Department. Dun, dun, dun.
Hello, good afternoon.
Ooh,
Can you hear me?
There's a voice somewhere. Hold on just a second. We can't hear you. Can we try again? Ooh, that was that.
Hello, hello. I see myself twice on the screen, which might create an echo, but let's see how this goes. All right, good afternoon, Madam Chair. Thank you, members of the board and Commissioner Hanslick and Mr. Casserly for this time today to report on Friends progress on behalf of our executive committee. There are 3 subjects in our report today detailing recent activities. First of all, one of our favorite, the Friends of Johnson County Library are celebrating National Friends of Libraries Week, which runs October 17th through the 23rd, by presenting the winners of the annual Friends Bookmark Contest to the library's board of directors and our community. This year, our contest accepted more than 250 original illustrations in 7 age categories, which range from preschool to adult. And it included our first ever interstate winner, which is pretty cool. The winning illustrations will be printed as bookmarks and distributed during the year at the 14 branches of the Johnson County Library, as well as Friends bookstores and events. More than 6,000 bookmarks will find homes between pages by this time next year. And many months of planning and years of wishing have come to fruition. We have automated materials handling at the sorting facility. That is installed. We have a volunteer running it right this moment. We are the only Library Friends organization in the country to implement automation at this level, which makes us pioneers, which is pretty exciting. That does also mean there's no playbook for us to refer to, but luckily we have a lot of smart and great supporters, library staff, dedicated volunteers working through this operational upgrade with us. And many thanks to the Johnson County Library for helping us upgrade on this level. And lastly, if you have ever contacted us about an order or dropped by to pick up an item from our online shop, you've likely met Larry Layton. He's the internet sales lead for the Friends. And we are so proud that Larry was chosen to be featured on the Points of Light Inspiration Honor Roll for his volunteer service. The Points of Light is a national organization started by President George H.W. Bush to honor volunteerism and support volunteer programs with training. As you might recall, Larry was one of 5 volunteers honored earlier this year with the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award for his volunteer service. He was nominated for that award for his exceptional service and leadership, and we are truly so lucky that Larry's chosen to dedicate his time to us. And I'll just wrap it up by saying, in celebration of National Friends of Libraries Week, I'd like to remind all of our listeners to join or renew your Friends of Johnson County Library membership at friendsofjcl.org. You have any questions for me?
I don't have any questions. Does anyone else? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Stephanie, I believe you're on deck.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think there's still that echo that's going to drive Bethany mad.
Guess I'll just live
Yes.
with the stimulation.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. And I want to start off with Library Let's Loose. It took place September 18th as our signature fundraiser for lifelong learning library resources. We're so grateful how the library community showed up in force. We had about 100 people attend online and another 95 attend the reception at Lenexus City Center branch. Many of you were able to come, and it was just a joy to see everyone come together and enjoy each other's company, which we haven't been able to do for a while. The sponsors and donors were the stars of the of this year, we had 48 sponsorships, nearly 170 donations, totaling $130,000. Of note, once again, because I've mentioned them before, is our honorary host couple, Denise and Rick Mills, who gave a remarkable lead gift of $25,000 in recognition of the foundation's 25th anniversary. They also challenged us all to give, and people rose to the challenge. It was inspirational. Library Let's Loose continues to be a learning experience as we continue to delve into online programming, and this year combined it with an in-person watch party. Library lovers continue to extend grace, patience, and enthusiasm for trying something new. The foundation wants to recognize how the event could not have happened without the committee volunteers, in-kind donors, the remarkable support from the library staff members, especially those at Lenexa City Center. On behalf of the foundation, I want to send sincere thanks to the library board, all of you, and to everyone who volunteered, donated, and generally supported Library Let's Loose. And I'm glancing up. Steph New is in the crowd. Steph New is on staff at the foundation, and she is just remarkable in terms of coordinating the committees and this event. So thank you, Steph. Thank you. In other foundation news, we have the annual appeal. It's the annual not-for-profit deluge that we ask the community to give to the library and every other not-for-profit. It's a wonderful season of giving that we're entering into. So we hope people will rally once again and give money in the annual appeal. And then we also have planning for 2022. First and foremost is the board of directors. And we have a new slate of officers, and we have 3 new board members who will be joining our board. And lastly, we're taking tours of Central. And I mentioned that this last month, but the next tour is October 29th. And it's kind of special for donors, board members, and elected officials. So let me know if you'd like to join. I think some of you have been on the tour, and please come. Oh my goodness, every time it's just something crazy and exciting, right, Kelly? Yeah. That concludes my report. Are there any questions?
I have
Is
a
that
question.
Oh, go.
I was just curious, Stephanie, if this is similar to past results. It was a great event, and I'm glad it was a success. Is the fundraising amount similar to the past?
The fundraising amount is the best ever.
Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I marvel because who can predict these things? You don't know what you're going to get, but please donate. So that's what happened. It was the community loves the library, and this is just another vehicle where you can support the library, and the community came out in force. Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Nope.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much.
Okay, Commissioner Hanslick is not with us, so we can go ahead and move on to Logan and Logan Esquire on land conveyance and bonding.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think the reason that I've been asked to report on this is the board knows that there is a great deal of planning going on right now with respect to the new Antioch Library. And this is just a good opportunity to review the fact that the library will take title to that property once planning has been completed, and the city, under the terms of that agreement, wanted to review the plan and approve. And they're going to do that on a preliminary basis, and once that happens, then we will be prepared to take title to the property. I think I've told you before that that 13 libraries that are owned by the library are titled in the name of the Board of Directors of the Johnson County Library. The same will be true here. The land conveyance will take place after that approval of the plans by the city. If you'll recall in the negotiations, that's something that they wanted to do. So planning is well underway. I think it's proceeding very smoothly. We've been in contact with bond counsel and are going to advise them that there are going to be funds available here, so we don't anticipate for the preliminary work, and we don't anticipate that there's going to be a need for bond participation until fall of 2022. Did I get that right? Yep, I got a thumbs up on that. So, but that's the way it works. All the land is titled in the board's name, and this one is a little bit different because they wanted to have a chance to look at the plans, and I understand those discussions are going very well, and I see Sean nodding his head, so that's a good thing. So I think we're right on track, but that gives you a kind of an overview of how land conveyance occurs. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Gasserly, the county librarian's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to invite David Vratney to come up and give us the financial report.
Thank you, Sean, and good afternoon, Board. I'd like to direct you to the total revenue report on page 9 of your packet. As of the end of August, we are approximately 2/3 of the way, or 67% of the way through 2021. The library has brought in a little over $37.9 million, which has us about 91% of projected revenue and slightly ahead of where we were last year at this time. And from an overall expense perspective, the library, including our collections encumbrance, has obligated about 67%. So 2/3 of the way through the year, we've spent about, or obligated about 2/3 of our expenses. So that's about $27.9 million, and is really in line with where I would expect us to be at this point in time. So with that, I'll take any questions you might have. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Before we go on, I just want to make sure that there's no one in the audience who wanted to give public comment. Okay, thanks. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Adam, could you please give us the report? This was something that the board had requested at our last meeting to give some data on the usage of the DeSoto, Spring Hill, and Edgerton as part of the rural renewal initiative that we're starting.
That's right. Yes, I'm Adam Wathen, Associate Director for System-Wide Services, and this month I'll present core operational statistics, and then, as Sean just said, in response to your questions last month, I'll take you through some charts about our community libraries, Spring Hill, DeSoto, and Edgerton. We're going to start by looking at circulation, and these statistics are through August, and I have to apologize for the chart in your packet. It doesn't match the physical circulation chart that I'm showing here. I found the mistake that I had made, and after the packet was published, and you can see that our circulation isn't nearly as high as the packet shows, and that's because I had added in some staff process circulation accidentally. And so I apologize for that. But that being said, the physical circulation does continue to pace about 20 to 25% lower than the 2019 trend line. You can see it generally dips in August after summer reading, and that's to be expected. The digital usage trend shows that 2021 is also pacing with the 2019 trend line, but it's about 25% higher than 2019. As a reminder, in 2020, we had an anomaly since our physical buildings were closed March, April, and part of May, and that drove patron usage toward digital content since our physical collection was unavailable to patrons, which had spiked it throughout that year. And so It's good to see that it has increased over 2019, but we do see it dipping over last year. The next trend shows our visitation, and visitation continues to be about half of our 2019 levels. The small service area at Central Resource Library was closed for 2 weeks in August for electrical work on the building, and other buildings, Cedar Row was also closed for about a week to finish their construction work. As well, we continue to live with the operational ripples from our central construction, like not having the meeting rooms and study rooms at Central Resource Library available to patrons, and then not having the large meeting room at Antioch available to patrons as we have staff working out of that area. And so those contribute to our low visitation as well. Are there any questions, Mitra? That's correct. Yes, these are general operational statistics for the library system. And I'm about to step into Spring Hill, DeSoto, and Edgerton. No, that's no problem. Any questions that you have during this presentation, please let me know. There's some complexity that I'll present. So, okay, on this, there's a lot of information coming up, and so like I said, please feel free to stop me if you have questions. The first set of charts gives some context for our community branches. I'm comparing our 2019 circulation and visitation across all of our branches. And I go back to 2019 because that's a pre-COVID year, which gives us some real standardization. You can see that I've indicated 3 different colors for our branches. The branches in blue are our largest branches, and those have Sunday hours, and they have the largest collections in our system. The branches in orange are our mid-sized branches, which have the same hours as large branches, except they're closed on Sundays. And then our community branches are in green. They have the smallest footprints, the smallest collections, and they are open fewer hours during the week, including 2 days closed and fewer hours at the beginnings and the end of days. The Comprehensive Library Master Plan of 2015 directed us to rely on our entire network of libraries to serve the county instead of duplicating all of our services in all locations. That's based on the research that citizens of Johnson County travel throughout the county for work, shopping, entertainment, and community. And that's one of the reasons why we vary in the open hours across our branches and the size of our collections and buildings. So you can clearly see, if you go back still, yep, you can clearly see that the visitation and circulation for community branches is significantly less than that of our other libraries on both of these charts. And then on the next chart, you can see that collection size falls along the same lines as circulation and visitation. Our collection development department attempts to make sure that the amount of collection in each branch supports the volume of traffic and circulation of that branch. And you can see that Central is really an outlier as it contains the largest footprint in our system, so it holds a deeper collection and we have more shelving there. On the next 2 charts, I show the demographics that are served by our libraries. You can see in the first chart the population that's served by each branch. The numbers of people in the service area and the branch align closely with the previous charts showing visitation, usage, and collection. And in the second chart, you can see, back up. Yep, on the second chart on this page, you can see that the population growth over the last 10 years in each service area also aligns that way. Blue Valley's branch service area had the most growth with nearly 15,000 people in that service area, while Cedar Row and Edgerton had the least growth. The Spring Hill and DeSoto branch service areas showed growth of around 1,000 people each. And in the next set of charts, I begin examining how each community library is used. I'm especially looking at comparing the amount of use of these libraries from the immediate zip code surrounding the library. So you might just think of the one zip code that library is in which that library is situated. The first chart shows the total number of branch users at each community branch, and in orange, the percentage of that total who are from that local zip code. So at each of the branches, about 75% of their users come from the immediate surrounding zip code. In the next chart, it's showing the number of Johnson County patrons who live in the zip code surrounding the community branches. The blue shows the number of those local patrons who use the community library in their zip code, and the orange shows the number of patrons from that zip code who use a different Johnson County Library branch. Edgerton Library sticks out here with almost 50% of library users who live in Edgerton zip code using a different branch than Edgerton, which may not be surprising since Edgerton and Gardner share a school system, and the middle school and the high school are both situated in Gardner. So the Gardner Library may get some of that traffic. The next chart takes another angle on the users of our community libraries. The blue shows the percent of community branch users who are coming from other zip codes. And so each of the community libraries has around 25% of their users coming from another zip code. And the orange shows the number of users who are coming from outside of Johnson County. And I'll note here that Spring Hill, the zip code right around the Spring Hill Libraries covers both Johnson County and Miami County territory. And so that doesn't, that number is probably much higher if you really drew a hard line through that zip code to show the Miami County users as outside of Johnson County. I haven't done that here.
If you're not a Johnson County resident, how do you get a library card?
We allow anybody to get library cards at Johnson County Library, and so we have actually library card users from many places, many from Missouri, of course, and we have library card users from around the country and sometimes even around the world.
Interesting. Thank you.
And we do have a map that was done when we did this CLMP study that does show sort of a chart or a map of the Kansas City metro area and where all of our users live. And it extends out past Lawrence and other places to show the extent of our user base, if you'd like to see that at some point.
Interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome. So the next chart switches from patrons to circulation. This chart shows the number of checkouts by patrons of the local zip code at the community library versus the number of checkouts at other Johnson County branches. And so you can see that the patrons from these communities do more checkouts from their local branches, but not significantly more. About 40 to 45% of the checkouts from these areas of the county are happening at other branches. So in DeSoto, for instance, 55% of the checkout from the patrons who live in that zip code are happening at the DeSoto Library, and then the 45% are happening at other libraries from Johnson County. So the volume of checkout is a little bit different than the patronage of that library. And finally, if I could, I'm going to make another comment that's not in my notes, that may indicate that the local users are doing something other than checking out, like using computers or the space for other reasons. The final chart in this series shows how much of the checkout at the community branch is coming from patrons local to that branch. DeSoto has more checkout from outside the local zip code than inside. And Spring Hill has 72% of their checkout from the local zip code, and Edgerton is the highest with 82% of their checkout coming from people inside the zip code. So DeSoto's reach is a little bit further for how much they're checking out materials to patrons. Finally, I want to show two slides about the facilities costs of these libraries. The first chart here shows that the annual maintenance cost, and that excludes staffing and administrative support costs. It's for our community buildings, it's between $21,000 and $28,000 annually for these three libraries. And you can see the second chart here shows those maintenance costs that I just divided those maintenance costs by the annual circulation and the annual visitation to show what those costs are divided out by those markings. And so you can see that the circulation at DeSoto is about 65 cents per visit. Oh, no, I'm sorry, 65 cents per visit for DeSoto and 42 cents per circulation at DeSoto. And that's just a straight division of the annual maintenance cost divided by the circulation data. And then the final slide shows the upcoming capital replacement plan work and the value of the buildings. DeSoto and Spring Hill libraries have roofing, carpeting, electrical, and air handling work slated in the coming few years. Both of these libraries have an estimated property value of $250,000. And as Edgerton Library is not our building, our facilities department does not plan the CRP work for it. As well, we have no value stake in the building. Are there any questions about that report?
If we don't own the Edgerton building, what are we spending $27,000 on in maintenance on the building?
That's things about cleaning, things like that we would do interior to the building. You know, so we would repair, for instance, the alarm system, which is our responsibility. So there are responsibilities that we have to maintain the library part of the building, It's just not the physical structure of the building.
Okay, and are those in line with roughly what we spend in other buildings?
Yes, yes, that's on the previous slide, if you don't mind going back. You can see that the Spring Hill maintenance cost is about $27,000, and that's similar to Edgerton there. These are estimates that were sent to me by the facilities team, and so I'm not sure what year these are based on. I could ask them that question about what this is based on. I'm not clear.
Yep, and often with those, like with Lackman, we'll get an independent appraisal to know what the market is, so we can do that. And then for the Edgerton, we've just received the report from the architect on some of the issues that I talked about last month, so we'll post that to the board portal and talk about it more comprehensively, either at the retreat or at upcoming board meetings.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I got one.
Sure.
Is when you say annual cost on the maintenance cost, like in Edgerton, was that just last year, or is that like a 5-year average, or how do you-
This is based, so our facilities team joined up with us about just over a year ago, and so they really only have about 14 months of data. And what they did was they averaged those 14 months of data, and then I changed that into a 12-month average. So I took that, I divided it by 14 and multiplied it by 12 to get to a 1-year average. So we really only have recent maintenance.
So is Edgerton? I mean, it's a pretty big outlier there. Is it? I mean, was there like one specific, cost that we had, the last 14 months that maybe is a once every 5-year cost, or
No,
or
these are.
or do you think that's going to be pretty consistent?
These are pretty consistent costs. These are things like what it pays to air condition or heat the building, what it costs to do the grounds work for the building, what it costs to do the cleaning contract. I think these buildings are generally under contract with external custodial, and so it includes those kinds of costs, and so they're pretty consistent costs.
You said something about the alarm system, though.
Alarm system maintenance. So we have
Is that
people-
just a one time?
we have a company
that's
who
every year.
monitors our
Okay.
alarms, and so we pay alarm monitoring costs, and then we also have, if there's anything that breaks on those alarms, we have calls that we pay for to fix those, and so there's maintenance costs like those.
Okay, anything else?
Thank you,
you.
Adam. I'd like to invite Laura Hunt to come up and give the comprehensive library master plan update. Scott is unavailable today, and so Laura is stepping in.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm Laura Hunt, as Sean said. I'm the Internal Communication Manager at the library, and I will be attempting to fill in for Scott today. So first, I'm going to give you some updates on the CBU2 project, Central Building Upgrade. Little Central will be our first update, and then we'll talk about construction. We'll talk about next steps, and then we'll look at a timeline. So first, our Little Central update. You can see the monthly usage stats for August. And a few things I want to point out. We see a pretty significant dip in August, and that's because we were closed for 2 weeks for the HVAC and electrical work. And that line is dotted, and the reason for that is it represents the estimated user count. Our people counter actually has been malfunctioning, and so we're working on getting that fixed. But that does follow the trend of PC sessions, which you can see on the right. And so that dips also because of that 2-week closure in August. So next we'll move to a construction update. On the exterior, they've done new curbs and paving near the new drive-through. Landscaping has begun. The building exterior is about 2/3 painted. They've removed the old paving and they're prepping for new paving on the south side parking lot and the loading and receiving area. And they've also completed the removal of the old exterior library signage. So you might see a temporary sign up there, but we are replacing that with a permanent sign. And then in the interior for construction, we've got a new kids area. There's carpet and wall covering going up, and the painting is complete. Mirrors and fixtures have been installed in the bathrooms, and then also ceiling tile and carpet have been installed in the system-wide staff areas. And then there's carpet in the branch staff areas, and lighting installation is in progress now. We've got temporary plastic walls that have been removed from the front. So if you go into Little Central, you'll see where we used to have that partition up where the old book drop was. You'll see that's been taken down. And the server racks have been installed. So some exciting stuff going on. And we always post our photo updates that we share with you guys on our Facebook page. So if you keep a lookout for those over the next week, you'll see those go up. And as a reminder for Central, if you would like a tour, just let us know, and we can take you through the building. It is really awesome to see all those changes going up. It looks beautiful in there. So next, we'll talk about next steps. And these are the anticipated activities over the next month. So we're going to complete the data wiring. We'll complete the AV installation. We'll finish the ceiling baffle installation. And we'll finish interior painting, site paving, exterior painting, and the flooring install. So we have been refining our move-in timeline with CBU2 team leads, and we'll be moving back in 3 phases with our primary goal to get the public parts of the building open first. We're still on track to bring an opening date to the board in November. And you can see here from our timeline that we're on track. And if you have any questions about this, I can try to answer those about the timeline. But if not, we'll move on to our construction photos. Okay, so here is some progress photos of our drive-through. It's looking really nice there. And if you've been inside to see the tour, those windows do amazing things in that branch area. It's really nice back there. And go to the next slide. Thank you. This is our delivery and loading area. So this is where our couriers will pull up to drop off materials. Next. And this is our new kids space, showing larger windows, carpet, wall covering, and painting. And our materials handling workspace, and the ceiling tile and carpet. And there's also a big cart of networking cable you can see in the front there. Okay. Oops. Next, I think that's all the slides I have for that. Yeah. Okay, so next I'll have Lacey Griffin come up and talk about the collection for CBU2.
A little taller. All right. Thanks for having me come this afternoon. My name is Lacey Griffin, and I am the Collection Development Manager. I'm also the collection team lead of the CBU2 Central Building Upgrade Part 2 team leads member. What I'm going to talk to you about today is some of the things that my team has been doing to help us transition to this new building. All right. This is my team. These are the people who've been working with me on all the different collection and materials handling things that we've been doing as part of this project. The materials handling team basically helped us close down, kind of transition everything from Central to Little Central, and then also helped us move all of our back of the house to a temporary location so that we could set up and still take care of materials. And then Alenda McVicker is from the collection development team, and she's been helping us and facilities do a layout of the shelving and get all of the collection that's moved to the new children's area, and also a little bit around the admin building, the admin part of it. All right, as I said, we transitioned to Little Central. So that was a big task, being able to do that and then make sure that we still had holds pickup and computers available. And then the bigger task was moving to the Northeast office building, which the county let us use, thank goodness. We moved over 24 people to that new facility. All of shipping and receiving and all of the maintenance that we do on the materials that we receive all got moved to that area. We also, I don't know if we're still doing fun facts. We also, on our move-in day, had a lovely neighborhood squirrel that decided to share the facility with us. He did not stay long, but made for a very interesting morning. All right. Working with facilities, we've worked on the layout for the new shelving in the children's area. There's a picture up above of the cool computer program where you get to move all the shelves around and figure out how much space you have for things. And then down below is a rendering of what it will look like when we move it over to the new area. Where admin is in the old children's area, we are going to put the new gallery. I had these pictures put in here because I think it's really neat. The top one is the 3D rendering of what we thought the new gallery was going to look like. And then below is what it actually looks like right now if you take the tour. So it looks identical almost to the picture above, which is kind of cool to see all of those 3D renderings become real. And so in this section, we're going to move some of the adult shelving back a little bit to give more room for the pictures in the gallery. And so in that, we're going to work on a project of just shifting fiction back and being able to keep it in order. And that is what my team has been working on. Do you guys have any questions?
Thanks, Lacey. This what a really great report.
Okay, I'm back. So now I'm going to talk about the Antioch Replacement Library project. Okay, so we have a few updates. We're working on our design priorities. We've had some meetings with our stakeholders, admin, our system-wide managers, to finalize those. And we just recently recorded our 3rd public engagement session. And so we'll be working on releasing that later this fall. And then for next steps, we'll continue with design, and we'll review what we heard from members of the public and how that design is including those concepts. And there's a few other next steps. There's the bond sale for this project in late October, and so we'll be taking the site plan to the city of Merriam for action, and then we'll begin the property transfer. Here's a look at our previous timeline, and we'll bring an updated version to you during the November meeting. Any questions about Antioch? Okay, then let's move on to my final presentation for Mr. Syme. And this is the Capital Improvement Project's timeline summary. So you can first see our capital improvement projects timeline. This hasn't changed except for the name Rural Renewal Initiative. We've changed that to DeSoto and Spring Hill Studies, just to more accurately represent what those are for when we're communicating with the public and with staff. And then on the next slide, you'll see this is our capital replacement program timeline. And for Corinth, it's still waiting in the wings. We anticipate that'll happen in November, and the facilities team is currently working on our 2022 CRP forecast. Any questions about CIP or CRP?
And the delay, just to clarify, the delay is we're still waiting for equipment for the arc flash upgrade, which is why the Corinth is delayed and was meant to be earlier in the year.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Laura. Let's take a look, and I'd like to have Dave come up and talk to us a little about the Rural Renewal Initiative, which is now the DeSoto and Spring Hill study funding, and just step the board through how we're planning on funding the study and the project.
Sure, Sean. Thanks again. So in our current 5-year CIP, the Rural Renewal Initiative is currently scheduled to be a 2023 project. And given the size of it, we had estimated or put a placeholder out there for $1 million for that project. Now, we'll be getting information as we do the planning and those studies to determine what the actual cost of each building and what we end up doing in there. But as it relates to funding of that, we believe we can do that out of our library reserves, and that's kind of been our plan for at least the last several years. I'll remind you, our library reserves in total ends up being about $13.5 million. 11.8 million of which is in our library operating funds, and then we got $1.7 million roughly in our library special use fund. So $1 million out of 13.5 million is a relatively small amount, and a good use of reserves for that type of work. So with that, I'll take any questions you might have. Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Okay, the next issue is just to remind the board on the upcoming budget committee dates. October 20th from 3 to 5 at the Lenexa City Center is the first meeting. The second meeting is scheduled for November 4th, 3 to 5, again at the Lenexa City Center. And the third meeting is January 6th, 3 to 5, and the location is to be determined. The next thing I want to say is, it's been a strange couple of years, and with COVID, we have not had a chance to have all the board members do tours of our location. But since numbers are falling, we thought we would offer that to you as board members. And again, please just coordinate with me or my assistant, Patty, and we can get you on a schedule, and we can do it over a couple of days. It's hard. We can do all of the branches in one day. That can be exhausting, or we can kind of split it over, 2 mornings or whatever works with your schedule. So if that's something you would like, please reach out, and we're happy to make that happen. I want to give the board an update on the Antioch Replacement. We are still in the design process, which is iterative. We had shown you last month a massing study which showed a 2-story building. When we programmatically looked at that, we ran into some concerns, particularly the amount of space that the stairwells were taking up and the elevator, and just the layout for how the building would operate day in and day out. And we thought it was a good time to take a step back and look to see if the building would fit well on that property. So the admin team went with the facility staff and we looked at that. And then what we're having the architect do is put together kind of a schematic that would look at the layout on a 1-story. And then we have met with, we've had 3 meetings with a team that just where we are reviewing the priorities for that building. As far as patron service, and then being able to use that prioritization list as a way to determine whether a 2-story or 1-story building best serves the community's needs. Again, with the input from the community and the current input that we're going to get at our third community meeting. Any questions about the Antioch? That has caused a slight delay in the schedule.
Did you set up the time for the third meeting, the community engagement meeting?
I do not have that date. I know that it was reported today that we've put all the videos together. I don't know when it kicks off. This is more of a passive type of interaction where the others have been meetings with the people. What we're able to do is present information and then have people be able to fill out and score that online and then give us that feedback that way. So it will be, instead of just being for an hour or 2, it will be over, I think it's a 2-week period. Is that right, Laura?
That is correct. And we have just finished recording it, but we do have to get the images together. And so Scott had in his notes that it would be later this fall that it would happen. And as soon as we have a date, we can let you know.
Thank you.
And then last but not least, I want to recognize my good friend and our attorney, Fred Logan. This is the 40th year that Fred has provided legal service and counsel to the library. He's only done it for 10 years for me, coming on 10 years. The staff have given me the CV, but I have instructions from Fred's wife not to embarrass him any more than I have already done. But I do want to say that Fred has helped shape this library. This library is a wonderful organization, and no part for the work that Fred has done, particularly with the Kansas statute and establishing that, and then has provided counsel and guidance for 40 years in a very dedicated way. And we have given you a card, and some books will be placed into the collection. And I think I'm going to try and jettison myself out before I get in trouble with Carol, which I don't want to do.
Thank you very much. It's been a great honor to work with the finest library staff in the finest library in the United States. Thank you.
Very kind. And that concludes the county librarian report. Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen, both Mr. Logan and Mr. Castley, for your service to the library system and all of your staff and minions and people who help you do all of those things. So thank you very much for that. We now need to move on, and we need to pass our consent agenda, and I would like a motion for that, please.
I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
And a second.
Second.
And all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And we do not have any old or new business, which frankly feels shocking, but I'm sure everybody will be open to not a 3-hour meeting. So we have one more bit of business to attend to, but that will be done in executive session because we need to meet with our counsel, and that is protected by privilege. So we will clear the room. Are we going to meet in here, Sean, and
No.
just have everybody leave, or are we going to move?
We're going to move, and we need a motion to go into an
Okay,
executive
so
session.
I need a motion, please.
I move that the Board of Directors of the Johnson County Library recess into executive session for a period of 15 minutes. The purpose of the executive session will be for library board members to receive advice of counsel that should be protected as confidential. Pursuant to KSA 75-4319B2, the executive session is warranted to protect consultation with Johnson County Library counsel that is deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. We will be back in 15 minutes. It is 4:51 right now, which puts us at 5:16, right? Nope, 5:06, sorry. 5:06. I was like, wait a minute, that was wrong. Okay, 5:06, thank you.
And you all will be meeting upstairs. So the stairs or the elevator in the round room. Ben Sons is up there, so just look for him.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we have to come back to adjourn. We need a motion to adjourn this meeting, please.
I move the Library Board of Directors adjourn.
And a second? Fantastic. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Fantastic. We are done. Thank you very much.